Didn't give me much money, but he bought me a lot of nice looking clothes. And he said, you go back to the center looking like this. And then I went to that center, and then it was a whole different, it was totally different. Everybody wanted to be my friend. Everybody saw my head.
A lot of love in this room for you, Mike. Great to have you, brother.
What's up, Nick?
Listen, Mike, we were talking downstairs beforehand, kind of catching up after 21 years. And as I'm telling the group here so they know what we talked about, that 21 years ago, I got the phone call after a tough time in your life. You've been abused by so many people and got frustrated and had the Holyfield incident and found yourself in a place where, they were waiting for your next fight, and they said, you got to help him so he doesn't bite that guy's ear off. That was the way they said things to me.
Bad times back then, remember?
And I remember I came to come see you, and I think you were in Arizona at the time.
Yes, it was.
And came in, and I said, I don't want to come unless he really wants my help. I'm not pushing shit on somebody, right? I got in, you're like, hey, T, what are you doing here? And we ended up having this conversation that for 21 years, when people ask me in the media, look, you've been with every major president, you've been with Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, who impressed you the most, who blew you away the most? And they always wanted my answer because for 21 years I told them it's Mike Tyson. And I told them because you were quoting Nietzsche and, Gil Gibran and the Quran. And like, I couldn't believe how well-read you were. I couldn't believe what a love you were. And I also couldn't believe the amount of pain that I felt in you, brother, because of all the people that you used you. And people think when you succeed, especially if you're generous as you are, that, the world's your oyster. Well, it is and it's not. And so I asked you to come because so many people in this room have succeeded on a huge scale. We have some people that are on their way to that. They don't fucking know what it really means to not be fulfilled. And I always say success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So I'd like to go back, if it's okay.
Go for it.
A little bit of history first. Will you share with people what you came from? And most people know some of the history, but I know your mom died at 16. I know you had trouble with the law at a young age. Take us to where life was like and what happened when Customato entered your life.
Well, from what I can remember from the day I was born, it was always hard times, welfare, not much food, no money, crime-infested neighborhoods, murders, pimps, prostitutes, drugs, and it was survival of the fittest. And I had an older brother who was 5 years older than me, so he didn't spend much time around the house. He was in the programs. He was very smart and intelligent. He was a special kid on the block that was always in school. And me and my sister got caught up in the street life. So I was bullied a lot as a kid. I used to have pigeons, and one particular time some bully grabbed one of my pigeons and ripped his head off, and that was the first time I ever got into a fight. And I kind of won. I was young, 9, but I kind of won. And I like fighting ever since because it gave me attention. People would say, hey, you was that guy that beat that big kid up. You was that guy. And I was everybody knew me from that incident. And so after that, older kids would bring other kids from different neighborhoods around my neighborhood, and they would pay us to fight each other. And that's how I started fighting. I probably had, in my life, I probably had 400 fights.
How many?
400.
Wow. In your professional career, you
had
no,
50. That's 50. That's 50 or 60.
Yeah.
The street, I had about 400.
Wow. And you were in trouble with the law, I know, early in the stage, right? And when did you get introduced to drugs?
Oh, I've been drugs since I was 9 years old.
Wow. What kind of drugs back then?
Cocaine, marijuana, alcohol, liquor. Because when I was younger, my mother, who wasn't educated on drugs and alcohol, even though she'd been in college, in order to perhaps get me to go to sleep, I was making a lot of noise. She would give me alcohol.
Wow.
Thinking I would go to sleep,
Yeah.
at that time. And so I started getting into a lot of trouble. By the time I was 12, I was arrested probably 40 times.
Yeah.
Everybody in the juvenile and the police department knew my name. Everybody, I was the regular. And so eventually they sent me away, and I was in this place. They sent me there for 2 years. And so I'm there, and eventually I get shipped away to another reformatory upstate New York. And I meet this gentleman named Bobby Stewart, who's a former professional fighter. Not a big-time fighter, but just a former professional fighter. 4 10-round fights, never big time. And every weekend he started, he would box with the kids. And then one particular day he boxed me, and he beat the shit out of me, but I took the beating. He hit me in the stomach, I fell down, I got back up, but he kept beating the shit out of me. But I took it, and he thought that was a badge of courage. And so he started boxing me, started teaching me how to box. And then eventually I was, 13 then, I became too good. So he had said, I have to take you somewhere else for someone that could take you to the next level. And so I went and I met Customato. And meeting him was...
Did you know who he was? The story?
I had no idea.
Trained fighters?
I had no idea about boxes.
Wow.
I was just doing this stuff. And I boxed with Bobby, and Bobby really like bloodied my nose. He beat me up pretty bad that particular time because I was really putting it on, trying to impress Cuss. And Cuss said, this is the next champion, providing he doesn't lose interest. So he said, how old you was? And I said, he's 13. And then Cuss said, he's lying. He doesn't want to go to prison with the grown adults, so he said he was 13.
Wow.
And so Bobby's student, because everything Cuss says is the Bible. And so he said, tell me the truth. After all these years, I've been there 2 years with him, and I said, tell me the truth. How old are you? I said, I'm 13. I'm 13. He said, tell me the truth. I said, I'm 13. So he got my birth certificate. He found out I was 13. And then cussing those guys just automatically. I didn't even agree to it. They said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to be heavyweight champ. You're going to win the Olympics. You're going to win the gold medal. You're going to do this. And you're going to become heavyweight champ. You're going to be this and that. And I didn't want him to think I was afraid. And one day, I had a couple of amateur fights, and I'm fighting. I'm 15 now. I had a couple of championships, and we're watching. Excuse me, but
That's okay.
we're watching.
That word goes around here easily.
we're watching Ali fight at home.
Oh yeah.
And
was it when Holmes beat him?
Yeah.
Beat Ali?
It was really bad.
Yeah.
Excuse me if I cry. Really bad, too bad. So, cuts. Oh man, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Thank you for sharing it, brother.
So God said it. Are you ready to face and hand the throne in this man? After he beat up Ali, that was his goal. And he taught me to become the greatest fighter in the world. I'm sorry I can't talk.
Oh, it's beautiful, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your vulnerability, brother.
I just don't know where it came from. I just don't know how I made this. Oh man, he made me this fight.
He made you into this.
I still don't understand it to this day.
Still don't understand.
Who is he? Where'd he come from? What his life was like?
Yeah. But he loved you.
Yeah.
And at one point he even adopted you, didn't he?
Yeah, when I was 16 when my mother died.
Yeah.
My mother died of cancer.
Yeah. And so he adopted you, and he was your mother, your father, your mentor.
Oh, my psychiatrist, yeah, my therapist, he was everything, yeah.
And he taught you to fight like nobody else, but you even went, I already had you hypnotized at times. Tell me about that.
Yeah, no,
what was he hypnotizing you to do?
He was a hypnotist as well, and he believed that he could reach the subconscious. Only special people can that happen to it. It can't reach anybody. You have to believe in it because it's something that's very complex to believe in. I'm not gonna believe somebody's gonna tell me something and this is gonna appear. So it's hard for people to even really believe this can exist. But I believed everything Cuss told me. Everything he told me, I believed it.
Yes.
And so that's what it was like.
I'm going to jump for a moment. We're going to come back to this time, but
okay.
Because you mentioned something, I'll give you a little breather here.
Yeah, thank you. Every time I talk about,
I give a head for starters here, right?
Thank you.
Thank you for your vulnerability, brother. It's real. It's fucking real. That's what everybody's looking for. Is real. We live in a world where everything's bullshit. Everybody's putting the polish on it and making their Instagram look good. This is real shit. So you watched Ali, one of the greatest men in history, right? Before you.
Yeah.
And he gets his ass beat. And Larry Holmes was not nice about it.
Not at all.
He was ego, man.
Not at all.
He was in his face. And I know you remember when you had the fight where you're fighting Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali did the introduction. What did he tell you?
They get him for me.
And what happened?
I got him.
Pretty awesome. So let me make back to Cuss. So he's training you. He's pitching this. At what point did you start to believe this? At what point did you start to believe?
When I was 14.
That's when you started to believe you could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you started winning, and then he dies. It's almost like a Rocky story, man.
Yeah,
like,
he dies.
He dies when you're how old?
What, I'm 19.
Yeah. And then you become the youngest heavyweight champion in the world a year later.
Yes, I did.
And what was your mission when you were going out there? Like when he died, what did it do to you, and how'd you use it?
Wow, man, in all due respect, this is just, my mission is just to destroy everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you did it because you loved him and you wanted to make him proud. Am I right or wrong about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was how much
But
you love you.
That's true, but I really, as I got older in life, I had to deal with demons with that. I felt I was that kind of person that really my objective was just to hurt people as much as possible.
Yeah.
not just beats, but just to really hurt them, so they never forget me. And that was just my goal. That's what I learned from Cuss. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
And he didn't have much time to teach me because he died shortly. He only had 7 to 6 years to be, to teach me anything. So what he had to teach me was fighting.
Yeah. He turned you how to, I remember when we met 21 years ago, you said he turned me how to turn the lights on and how to turn the lights off, but not really how to turn off that emotion, but how to do it in the ring.
Exactly.
How to not, like when somebody's hurting you, not to feel it, not to sense it, not to get scared. And you told me after the Holyfield, you told me that the reason I lost that fight is because I got pissed. You said, I never get pissed in the ring.
Exactly.
Tell me about that.
I lost discipline. Normally, I'm a disciplined fighter. I normally beat people I deal with under pressure. But for that particular incident, I just lost it that day. I was getting headbutt. I was frustrated. I felt I wasn't being listened to or heard, and I felt numbness. And I just lost my temper, and I just didn't care.
When he headbutted you, you felt it was unfair, and they didn't do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
And you just lost it, and that made the difference. When we were together, you said something I'll never forget. Here you're quoting all the stuff, and you were telling me about your prison time, and you were saying to me, man, the only place people are equals in prison. And I remember I talked about, the warden talked about it afterwards and said that when you came there, like, there's the whites, there's the blacks, there's the Mexicans, all these divisions based on race. And you came in and said, man, what are we doing fighting each other, man? Like, you said, nobody gives a shit about us. We're the only ones who care about each other.
When I was
and you
there,
brought them
there was
together.
never any fights.
Tell them about that. Tell them
when
about
I was there, there was never no race problems, never no fights.
How'd you pull that off? You convinced them what?
Hey, listen, I used to convince everybody that we're all brothers, we're here together, we're doing this time, and no one cares. People were dying in there. People don't care we're dying. No one's coming here to give you a ribbon and say, I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah. But this love that was in you, in spite of what you were trained to become, they trained you to be a beast, but they couldn't take away your heart. They couldn't take away your love.
That was just time. It was just time for me to heal.
Yeah.
I was bitter, and I took it out on other people. I took it out on myself, and I didn't know how to deal with any adversity at that degree, at that particular time in my life.
Well, you told me, I remember you told me you were describing the first time you saw one of these. I don't know why. You told me it was a Sally Jesse Raphael show. I remember it vividly. You were describing this Aryan brother, this big motherfucker, you said, and he had kill, N's on the front of it, the N-word, right? And you said to me something so insightful, even though you were in so much pain, I never forgot it. You said, you know what, Tony? You said, those guys want power because they don't have love. How did you figure that shit out?
Well, because I'm one of those guys. I never experienced love. My love was hurting people. Yeah. The more people I hurt, the more love I received. Yeah. And it's just for the time in my life I grew up and I lived that life and I received love and I saw what love done once I became involved with my wife and we started having kids. And even though I had children before, I'd never been in a relationship when I was totally dedicated to. Just like I wasn't fighting to be the best fighter I could, I wanted to be the best father and the best husband I could totally become.
Yes. And you're dedicated to that today.
Yeah, that's my life basically now. My kids and my wife and my organization and my partners.
Yes.
My friend Rob Hickman right there, he put life in people's lives and he give people hopes and that's what people need. People need to believe that there's hope for a better life out there.
And there were stages where you didn't think that was possible. I remember I'm sitting with you and you're talking about love and everything else, and you're talking about this process, and at one point you're quoting all this stuff from the Quran and the Bible. I'm like, this man's one of the most well-read human beings I've ever met. And then you turned and said, sometimes, Tony, though, I get so mad. There's a button that kill every motherfucker on the planet. I push it in the fucking heartbeat.
Yes.
Like you talked about there's a lot of people that act good, but they're not good inside. And you were telling me about Tupac at that time. You said Tupac doesn't behave good, but he's fucking good, 100%. Right? What's the difference? Tell people the difference about what you noticed about the contradictions in human beings.
Well, let me tell you about myself. What I've experienced, because I can only speak on myself. My whole life lived with off my ego. Just I was a megalomaniac with a low self-esteem. If you said something, I always say I'm nobody, but if you said something I wanted to accomplish, I'm the greatest, I'm a god, I could accomplish something. But as far as the perspective on myself, I'm shit. Look at the life I come from. Even though I'm making all the money in the world, but look at me, my mother, my father, they're sex workers. What the fuck who am I? I'm a piece of shit. But I'm the highest paid athlete in the world. I'm the baddest man so-called on the planet. But that's the low self-esteem that I guess that I received. So I guess that's what cuts worked on my ego. My ego is out of this world. I thought people should carry me. I shouldn't walk. It was just, but that's all I had to succeed.